The world isn't kind. It isn't fair. It doesn't reward the most honest or the most hardworking or even the most talented. It rewards those who understand power. You can be loyal and still get betrayed. You can be skilled and still get overlooked. You can play by the rules and still get crushed by someone who bends them. That's the reality. And the sooner you accept it, the stronger you become. This is where Machiavelli enters the picture. He wasn't just a writer or a politician or a philosopher. He was a strategist of human nature. He studied how power actually works, not how we wish it worked. He wrote about the game behind the game, the side of life most people ignore because it makes them uncomfortable. But Machiavelli's greatest gift is perspective. He teaches you to stop living like prey and start thinking like a player. This isn't about cruelty, it's about clarity. This isn't about manipulation, it's about protection. This isn't about becoming the villain, it's about never being fooled by one. What you're about to learn are 8 ruthless lessons from Machiavelli. Lessons that don't just make you smart, they make you dangerously smart. The kind of smart that sees the trap before it's set. The kind of smart that doesn't flinch when others panic. The kind of smart that wins in a world designed to make you lose. But let me make this crystal clear. This knowledge isn't for reckless ambition. It's for self-defense. It's for resilience. It's for surviving in a world that doesn't care about fairness. Use it to protect your vision, not to destroy others. Before we begin, write this in the comments. I choose to be strategic, not naive. Because today, we're stepping into Machiavelli's mind. And when you come out on the other side, you won't see people or power the same way again.
Lesson 1. Calculated Opacity. Machiavelli once wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." That single line is a masterclass in power. Most people make the same mistake. They overshare. They think trust comes from revealing everything. They explain their goals, their fears, their plans, thinking it makes them look genuine. But what they're really doing is giving away leverage. Here's the truth. Clarity is not always power. Sometimes opacity is power. Calculated opacity means this: never reveal the whole picture. You reveal only enough to control perception, but never enough to give someone the keys to your mind. Think of it this way. When people only know half the story, they can't predict your next move. Their imagination fills in the blanks. And in their imagination, you're always bigger, smarter, more prepared than you might actually be. That's how influence works. It's not about telling people everything. It's about telling them just enough. Let's put this into real life. Imagine someone asks, "What are you working on these days?" The average person replies, "Oh, I'm trying to start a side business, I'm stressed about money, I'm not sure if it'll work." That's transparency, sure, but it's also weakness exposed. Now imagine a Machiavellian response. "I've got something important in motion. You'll see soon." Then you switch the subject. You didn't lie, you didn't overshare, you created curiosity. And curiosity breeds respect. Think about the people you find most intriguing. They never tell you everything. They drop hints, they smile when you want answers, they answer questions with questions. That's not accident, that's design. Your information is your currency, and like money, you don't spend it all at once. You release it strategically, at the right time, in the right amount. The world today makes this even more crucial. Social media has turned oversharing into a disease. Everyone posts every thought, every emotion, every move, They give the world a full map of their psychology. And here's the twist: the more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. Predictability kills power. So, Machiavelli's ruthless lesson is this: be deliberate with your story. Never give the full script. Leave gaps. Let people wonder. Let them lean in. Because the less they know, the more they assume. And those assumptions can work in your favor. The art is subtle. Don't lie. Don't stonewall. But never reveal more than what strengthens your position. This isn't about being fake. It's about being strategic. Because once someone knows everything about you, you no longer control the narrative. They do. When you master calculated opacity, you transform from predictable to unpredictable, from transparent to intriguing, from ordinary to untouchable. And that's the first step to becoming dangerously smart. Lesson 2. Adaptive persona. Machiavelli observed something that makes many people uncomfortable. You are not one fixed self. You are a collection of selves, and the strongest people know how to choose which self to present. He put it this way: a prince must imitate both the fox and the lion. For the lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. That's the essence of adaptive persona. Most people think authenticity means being the same everywhere, the same with your boss, your parents, your friends, and strangers online. But that isn't authenticity. It's rigidity, and rigidity breaks. Adaptive persona means this: you change your presentation depending on who you're with and what situation you're in, without ever betraying your core values. You already do this naturally. You don't talk to your grandmother the way you talk to your best friend. You don't behave at a funeral the way you behave at a party. That's adaptation. Machiavelli simply tells you to master it consciously. Here's why this matters. Every person you meet filters the world differently. Some are logical, some emotional, some focus on details, others on vision. If you show up the same way to everyone, you'll connect with a few but alienate the rest. But when you study people and adjust, you become universal. You become the person who can connect with anyone. Think about water. Pour it into a cup, it becomes the cup. Pour it into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. Pour it into a lake, it blends with the lake. Yet through all of this, it never stops being water. That's you. You flow into any environment, adjusting form, but never losing essence. Practical example. You're pitching an idea. If your audience values facts, you present data. If they value vision, you tell a story. If they value emotion, you speak to feelings. If they value efficiency, you show results. Same idea, different mask. Now, some will say, isn't this fake? No. Being fake means betraying your true values to please others. Adaptive persona means expressing your truth in a way the other person can understand. It's translation, not deception. Machiavelli knew this deeply. Leaders who refused to adapt lost power. Leaders who learned to mirror their audience survived and thrived. And today, it's no different. The danger is this: adapt too much and you forget yourself. You start bending so far, you break. The solution? Define your non-negotiables. your values, your principles, your red lines. Never cross those. Adapt everything else. The most powerful people are like diamonds. Many faces, many angles, but one solid core. Here's the ruthless truth. The world doesn't reward those who insist on being understood exactly as they are. It rewards those who make themselves understandable to anyone. Adaptive persona is not about tricking people. It's about unlocking doors that would stay shut if you insist on always showing the same face. And once you master this, you'll discover something interesting. People feel more connected to you. They feel you get them. And when people feel understood, they trust you, follow you, and open opportunities. That's why this lesson makes you dangerously smart. Because while others struggle to fit in, you can fit anywhere and still remain yourself. Lesson 3. The principle of detachment. Machiavelli wrote, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." That wasn't a call to cruelty. It was a call to detachment. Because here's the brutal truth. The more you're afraid to lose something, the easier it is for others to control you. Most people live chained to attachments. They stay in jobs they hate because they're afraid of unemployment. They cling to toxic relationships because they're afraid of being alone. They bite their tongues in conversations because they're afraid of disapproval. This fear of loss is a prison, and Machiavelli knew that the person who cannot walk away is already conquered. Detachment doesn't mean not caring. It means not being enslaved. It means you can love without being desperate. You can work hard without being addicted to the outcome. You can value things without collapsing if they vanish. Here's a simple example. Two people are negotiating. Person A is desperate. They've already imagined their success depends on closing this deal. They've rehearsed the celebration in their head. Person B would like the deal, but they have options. They're fine walking away. Who has the power? Person B, always. Because neediness is weakness. Detachment gives you leverage. It makes your yes stronger because your no is real. And it sharpens your clarity. When you're not blinded by fear, you see people's motives more clearly. When you're not desperate for approval, you speak more honestly. When you're not clinging to a plan, you can adapt when life shifts. Think about the paradox. The less you need something, the more likely it comes to you. Confidence attracts. Desperation repels. The detached person radiates this quiet power. I want this, but I don't need it. I care, but I won't beg. I'm here, but I can leave. That energy changes how people treat you. They respect you more because they know they can't push you around. Machiavelli understood that rulers who became too attached to popularity, to comfort, or to public opinion fell quickly. The rulers who held power longest were those who weren't afraid to make difficult, unpopular choices because they weren't slaves to approval. Here's how you start practicing detachment. Start with small things. Don't obsess over winning every argument. Don't panic if plans change. Adapt. Don't chase validation from people who don't matter. Learn to enjoy solitude instead of fearing it. Every time you loosen the grip of attachment, you free yourself.
But here's the warning. Detachment is not coldness. You can love people deeply. You can be passionate about your goals. The key is not to let that passion become desperation. Machiavelli's ruthless lesson is simple. What you're not afraid to lose cannot be used against you. And that's why detachment makes you dangerously smart,
because the person who cannot be blackmailed by fear is untouchable. Lesson 4. Silent leverage. Machiavelli once wrote, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." But what he didn't mean was rushing into danger loudly. He meant the opposite. Real power moves in silence. Most people think influence is loud. They think it's about raising your voice, making demands, proving authority. That's amateur power. The professionals know this. The most powerful pressure is invisible. Silent leverage is the art of influencing without force. It's the ability to make people act in your favor without you saying a word. Here's how it works. Instead of telling people what to do, you create conditions where it benefits them to do what you want. Instead of demanding respect, you make yourself so valuable that respect is automatic. Instead of threatening to leave, you quietly make your presence so important that people fear losing you. Let's break this down in practice. In conversations, most people rush to fill silence. They get nervous when there's a pause, so they keep talking, and usually overshare. But if you master silence, you control the rhythm. Next time someone asks you a tough question, don't answer right away. Pause. Let the silence stretch. Think carefully, then speak. Watch how your words suddenly carry more weight. In negotiations, silent leverage comes from having options. When people know you can walk away, they negotiate differently. You don't need to threaten. Your quiet willingness to leave is enough. In relationships, it's not about constantly reminding people of your value, it's about showing it through consistent actions. When your presence makes their life better, your absence becomes unthinkable. In professional settings, silent leverage means solving problems without bragging. Over time, everyone knows you're the one who delivers. You don't need to announce your worth. They see it. They feel it. The secret behind silent leverage is patience. It's long-term positioning. You're not looking for instant recognition. You're planting seeds and letting them grow. That's why it feels ruthless. Most people are impatient, desperate to prove themselves. You're not. You're building a quiet foundation that eventually makes you indispensable. And here's the deeper truth. Silence is uncomfortable. For them, not for you. Most people can't handle it. They reveal too much, commit too soon, or give too quickly. When you master stillness, you watch while others hand you their power without realizing it. But let's be clear. Silent leverage is not manipulation for harm. The highest use of this skill is ethical, guiding people toward outcomes that serve everyone better. You're not tricking them, you're positioning yourself so that the best path forward also happens to align with your interests. Machiavelli knew that the ruler who shouts commands loses loyalty, but the ruler who creates dependence never has to shout. The influence is already built in. The ruthless lesson here is, don't fight for power. Arrange it so that power comes to you naturally. That's why silent leverage makes you dangerously smart. Because while others scream for attention, you control the room without making a sound.
Lesson 5. Psychological Echo. Machiavelli understood something timeless. People are mirrors. They reflect back what they see, and they respond most strongly to what feels familiar. This is the essence of psychological echo, the art of subtly reflecting people's thoughts, emotions, and values back to them so they feel understood, trusted, and aligned with you. He once wrote, "Men are more ready to be offended by slight injuries than by serious ones." What does that mean? It means people's perception matters more than reality. How they feel is often more powerful than what actually happened. And if you can echo their psychology, you can shape their perception. Here's why this works. People crave validation. They crave recognition. Most people walk around unheard, unseen, unacknowledged. When you become the person who reflects their inner world back to them, they open their guard. Think about a conversation. If someone's speaking passionately and you match their energy, they feel connected. If they're quiet and thoughtful and you slow your tone to match, they feel safe. If they share a value and you affirm it, I see why that matters to you, they feel respected. That's psychological echo. But here's the ruthless twist. When done consciously, it's not just about connection, it's about direction. When people feel mirrored, they naturally trust you more. And when they trust you, they follow your lead more willingly. Not because you force them, but because they feel like you get them. Practical examples. In business, you're pitching to an analytical investor. Instead of overloading them with emotion, you echo their psychology. Numbers, facts, risk, reward logic. They feel you're on their wavelength. In friendships or relationships, someone is venting frustration. Most people respond by giving solutions, but a Machiavellian move is to first echo the feeling. That sounds exhausting. No wonder you're upset. The moment you echo, the guard drops. Now they're open to hearing your advice. In leadership, a group values tradition. If you present your idea as revolutionary, they resist. But if you echo their value, this is the next step in preserving what we've built, they embrace it. See the pattern? You don't manipulate by imposing your frame. You guide by reflecting theirs and then gently bending it toward your direction. But here's the warning. If you overdo it, you'll look fake. People can sense mimicry when it feels mechanical. The key is subtlety. Echo enough to align, but not so much that you lose authenticity. Machiavelli's brilliance was this. He saw that humans are not driven by truth. They're driven by recognition. They follow those who seem to understand them. So the ruthless lesson is this. Influence isn't about overpowering someone. It's about becoming their reflection so they willingly walk with you. Psychological echo makes you dangerously smart because while others argue, debate, and demand, you simply reflect, and people hand you their loyalty without resistance. Lesson 6. Controlled ruthlessness. Machiavelli's most controversial insight is also one of his clearest. Mercy without limits destroys you. He wrote, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if one must choose." Not because cruelty is noble, but because unchecked kindness invites exploitation. Here's the truth. People admire kindness, but they test boundaries. They praise forgiveness, but they abuse it if it comes too easily. They love generosity, but they grow entitled if you never say no. Machiavelli's solution: controlled ruthlessness. This doesn't mean being cruel for the sake of it. It means knowing when firmness, even severity, is necessary to protect yourself, your values, and your mission. Imagine two leaders. The first tries to be endlessly loved. They avoid hard decisions. They say yes to everything. They bend to every demand. The second is respected. They're fair, but decisive. When they punish, they do it quickly, cleanly, and only once. People may not love them, but they don't dare exploit them. Which leader survives longer? Always the second. That's controlled ruthlessness. You don't strike often, but when you do, it's decisive. You don't punish out of emotion, but out of strategy. You don't humiliate, but you make the point clear. You are not to be tested lightly. Here's how this applies to everyday life. In work, if a colleague constantly dumps tasks on you, the naive response is to keep helping, hoping they'll appreciate you. They won't. They'll just ask for more. The controlled, ruthless response is, draw a boundary. I won't be able to take this on. My focus is elsewhere. Firm, final. In relationships, if someone disrespects you repeatedly, forgiving endlessly only teaches them that disrespect is safe. Controlled ruthlessness means cutting off the pattern once, sharply, so the message is undeniable. In negotiation, Sometimes the best move is walking away entirely, showing the other party that you will not bend. That sting forces respect. Here's the paradox Machiavelli understood. People often forgive cruelty faster than they forgive weakness. They may resent the ruthless, but they cannot ignore them. The overly merciful, however, invite endless betrayal. But remember, it's controlled. Uncontrolled ruthlessness is tyranny. It breeds enemies and eventually collapse. Controlled ruthlessness is precision. It establishes boundaries, deters betrayal, and ensures survival. The ruthless lesson here is, being feared a little protects you far more than being loved too much. That's why this principle makes you dangerously smart, because while others break themselves trying to please everyone, you remain respected, secure, and untouchable.
Lesson 7. Strategic timing. Machiavelli noticed something that destroys more ambitions than lack of talent or effort: impatience. He wrote, "Fortune is like a woman, and it is necessary, if you wish to master her, to conquer her by force." Behind the poetry is a brutal truth. Opportunities don't appear on your schedule. They appear when they appear. And if you're too early, you're ignored. If you're too late, you're irrelevant. That's why power requires strategic timing. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they act at the wrong moment. They confess feelings too soon. They demand promotions too early. They launch projects before they're ready, or worse, after the wave has passed. Strategic timing means learning to wait, to watch, to prepare, and then to strike with precision. Think of an archer. The impatient archer releases too early. The arrow falls short. The hesitant archer waits too long. The target moves. The master archer releases in the exact moment of alignment and hits the mark. That's life. Here's how Machiavelli would apply it. In politics, his world, a ruler who reforms too quickly faces rebellion. One who waits too long loses power. The survivor times reforms when the people are ready, or when they have no choice but to accept them. In business, our world, launching an idea before the market is ready leads to silence. Launching after the market is saturated leads to invisibility. The strategist prepares quietly, waits for the gap, and then enters when impact is maximized. In personal power, silence, again, is a weapon of timing. When you delay your reaction, you control the tempo. When you pause before answering, people lean in. When you wait to reveal your cards, anticipation builds. The dangerous mistake is confusing waiting with wasting. Strategic waiting is active. It's studying, preparing, and strengthening until the right moment. Wasting is passive. It's doing nothing, hoping chance saves you. Machiavelli's lesson is ruthless because it demands patience most people can't handle. The naive rush. The timid freeze. The Machiavellian waits and then strikes so cleanly people call it luck. But it's not luck. It's timing. The lesson? Power is not just what you do, it's when you do it. That's why mastering strategic timing makes you dangerously smart. Because while others burn energy moving too fast or too slow, you move once, at the exact right moment, and win more with less. Now you've seen it. 8 ruthless lessons from Machiavelli that transform how you see people, power, and yourself. Lesson 8. The unreadable mind. Machiavelli warned rulers of his time about one fatal weakness: predictability. The ruler whose intentions were too obvious, whose emotions were too easy to read, became a puppet for sharper minds. That's why one of his most enduring lessons is this: keep your mind unreadable. People fear what they cannot predict. They respect what they cannot fully understand. And they follow those who seem to always know more than they reveal. Think about a chess game. The amateur shows every emotion with every move: panic when threatened, relief when safe, arrogance when ahead. The master? Stone-faced, calm. Their mind invisible.
You can't read if they're winning or losing, confident or cornered. That unreadability itself is power. Now apply this to real life. In arguments, if someone insults you and you instantly react, anger, defensiveness, shouting, they've already won. They pulled your strings like a puppet. But if you remain calm, unreadable, their weapon fails. Silence becomes your shield. In competition, if your rival knows exactly what motivates you, they can manipulate it. But if your true priorities remain hidden, they can't predict your moves. You always have the advantage of surprise. In negotiation, the person who reveals their desperation first loses. The unreadable negotiator keeps cards close, revealing nothing until the final moment, forcing the other side to guess and often overplay. The paradox is, being unreadable doesn't mean being cold or robotic. It means controlling the signals you send. You can smile, laugh, show warmth, but your true thoughts, strategies, and emotions remain yours alone. Machiavelli's ruthless wisdom is this: the moment people can map your mind, you no longer control it. They do. So guard your thoughts like treasure. Smile, but don't explain too much. Listen more than you speak, and always keep a part of yourself beyond anyone's reach. Because when your mind is unreadable, you stop being a piece in someone else's game and become the player shaping the board. Machiavelli wasn't teaching cruelty. He was teaching clarity. He was showing us the hidden rules of a world that doesn't reward naivete. If you use these lessons recklessly, you can destroy trust. But if you use them wisely, they protect you. They free you from being a pawn in other people's games. They make you resilient in a world that punishes weakness. And most of all, they remind you of this: power is not about dominating others, it's about never letting yourself be dominated. So choose. You can keep living predictably, transparently, attached, and easily manipulated, or you can step into Machiavelli's lens, become strategic, disciplined, unreadable, and move through life not as prey, but as a player. The knowledge is yours. The question is, will you use it?